stats are about injury prevention and kind of, I guess, risk assessment areas. If you flip it on its head, is it able to integrate in terms of predicting peak performance and when and how peak performance is achieved, and making trends towards achieving peak performance over a sustained period of time?
I think that's the long-term aim. That was really when we first started talking to Green 4. That's the ideal. Is we want, and it almost sounds impossible, something which can predict and look forward and say, right, you know, these things combined can either, and it's almost a scale. There's the player getting injured at one end of the continuum and optimum performance at the other end, and you're looking at can things contribute to one or the other. So if you what we look for and how far down the line this is, I don't really know. If you've entered a couple of days worth of training data and monitoring data and what have you, can it then look forward and then say, if you do this in training, or if he comes in the morning and has this score, or does this on a particular day, this, based on the data we've collected so far, would suggest a better performance or a higher risk of injury. That's the ideal, and it's very difficult because there's so many factors, and it's hard to, even if a prediction says, yeah, it's very likely this is going to happen, it's a human running around on a football pitch, so you can't guarantee it. You can't have your money back if it doesn't happen.
I know. But, my sport, I'm an ex-Olympic swimmer, and we peak once, twice, maybe 3 times a year traditionally, and it's really interesting in terms of that tapering phase or that resting phase of how you achieve that peak performance. And it was just interesting.
When I was talking, I was probably going on probably too much about the medical and saying about that, because I know I've cost maybe I'm a bit sensitive because I got 2 hamstring strains last night. So we don't know where the hell they've come from. We think it's something to do with players playing on DS PlayStations, but that's a totally different story. But in terms of being able to monitor your training, what we're scored on is whether we're winning games, and so being able to look back at the training you've used with your players and how that fits with the coaches, with your physical training data, and pulling those together is how you make sure you monitor your programs, and then obviously get your peaks and optimal performance at the right time. So a bit sensitive on the medical, so it's not just about that, it's also about looking at your training minutes, how the guys are feeling after those, how they rated those training sessions, put that into your heart rate data. Then we're doing some work with GPS now on exactly how many meters and what speeds we're running at, so we're monitoring the training program that we're working to try and make sure that we've got it right, so that we've got this trend of winning games. Okay, what process is working right for us now? And also something on the seasonal disorder that we've picked up on stuff, but I'm not going to tell too much about that because people are listening. But we've noticed a trend in that when the clocks change, and we've got some stuff that we're putting in place to help get optimal performance and make us physically better prepared, mentally better prepared, just as much as guard from injury. So I apologise if I pushed on the medical button too much, but
just to add on to Dean as well, I mean, fundamentally we rely on research to implement that into what we do on a daily basis. Now, obviously we try and use science as much as we can, but there's still a lot of grey areas in terms of what's out there and what's specific to our players. So for us to now be able to create player profiles in terms of optimal training load, how long they're spending each heart rate zone in a week, to find that research out there isn't always out there. So for us to be able to create our own research in-house and see what works best for each player, for them to have their optimal performance on a Saturday, fundamentally that's what we're looking for, to create these player profiles and sort of do our own sort of research.
And I guess because it's a new thing, that the data can't be tracked back as much as it will do in 10 years' time. But I guess there's some form of talent ID going through the 11s, 12s, 15s, 17s, whatnot leading into that, so you'll be able to track X, Y, and Z leading into that eventually, I presume.
Yeah, you need a data pool, really. Yeah. So the problem you'd have is as soon as you bring in a system like this, people will be asking you the next week what it's showing you, and you won't have anything to know.
See, that's the big point. You need a history. You need years of history before you can actually start fine-tuning.
Last Friday, that's for sure.
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, as an example, we're doing a study. Our physio, Dave Rennie, who's not been able to make it today. We're looking at ground hardness and the effect of ground hardness on potential injury risk and the types of injury it might cause. And we've been testing it all of last season on whatever training pitch we were on, the stadium, away games. We always measure the ground hardness in different areas. We've got a list of our injuries, but over an entire season, which is a relatively long period of time, you're looking at how many injuries have you picked up in total, how many of the same kind of injuries. So if you can't say ground hardness of this leads to a hamstring injury, because how many do you get in one season?
Yeah.
Hopefully not many, but you never know. So even a season's
I got
worth
two
of
last night.
So hamstrings was ground hard.
Yeah, it was horrible.
You can let us know.
Rolled mud pad.
What did you blame the collarbone on?
Well, he hasn't busted, so he found out he's disrupted the joint, but he went one-on-one with the keeper, which is a bit silly. Big keeper, Peterborough.
He was a big guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So there seems to be two good arguments here. One is the potential for improved performance, and then the other one, as Lee pointed out, is the opportunity to manage that cost of key assets in the business. What's the balance? How do you balance that? I mean, you're looking at it, I guess, more from a performance perspective, but you have to be aware of the chief exec's view as well.
Again, I think it's the bigger picture, really, the overall picture. So obviously, whilst we've said it, it's about performance. So fundamentally, winning games with 3 points on Saturday versus obviously injury prevention. More players you keep fit, better chance you've got winning those games. So obviously, with the system in place, should hopefully, if it's used correctly,